The 2023 presidential election is a three-horse race between the candidates of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. A just concluded poll has revealed. This is our discussion for today. My name is ADS. According to the result of the poll, which was commissioned by the Nnpp Foundation and conducted by NOI Polls Limited, Mr. Obi is leading the race with 21% of votes in the poll. His votes an 8% lead over APC's Tinubu and PDP's Atiku, who each got 13% of the votes to end up as joint second in the poll. The presidential candidate of the Nigerian People's Party, Nnpp, Rabiu Kwankwaso, was fourth with 3% of the votes. Now, the spokesperson of the PDP, APC, and Nnpp have taken turns to reject the poll result, saying it does not in any way reflect the will of the people come 2023. First, let's hear from the spokesperson of the Nnpp, Abdulmumin Jubrin.
NOI in 2015 projected clearly that Jonathan is going to win the election. Jonathan lost the election. Many other work that they've done, all have been proven wrong. There is no any work that they've done where you can say that the projections are right or anything. Well, that is the extent that I will go in giving any recognition to that statement. It is absolutely false. It's not a representation of a reality on ground, particularly if you are talking about the northern part of the country. Repeatedly, I've said this, and in a matter of 3-4 months, the facts will emerge. Rabiu Kwankwaso has the northern part of Nigeria locked down. And let me say this. Apart from northern part of the country, the two other parties, even though we are not here to discuss the two other parties, the case of APC is damaged already. And that is why you see what APC does is to run its campaign around Asuwaju, whom I believe that he is a good pilot. But the problem is not Asuwaju, the problem is a party. The party is damaged. So it's like saying you have a good pilot and you have a bad aircraft. So what APC is asking Nigerians to do is to go and fly in a bad aircraft because they have a good pilot. The major difference between APC and PDP is that PDP is damaged. APC is damaged. But PDP is saying, yes, we agree we are bad, but we are better than APC. What people keep saying is that Kwankwaso doesn't have a reach in the southern part of the country. We don't like to pretend. Where he has completely locked down is the northern part of the country. But we're making sufficient inroad in the southern part of the country. That is enough.
The spokesperson of the Nnpp has just confirmed in his statement in that video that his principal and the presidential candidate of the Nnpp, Rabiu Kwankwaso, is a regional candidate. He only has control of the north and no grip on the south. But that did not reflect on the poll results. He lost in the north too. Let's check out the reaction of the PDP spokesperson, Daniel Bwala.
A normal poll that will attract credibility will be a poll that clearly, in one breath as you release the report, you must also release the sample size and the margin of error. These are basics. Because the sample size and the margin of error will help in identifying whether the polling was actually carried out correctly or not. Then you can stretch further to ask for the sampling. Was it done by a phone call? If it was done by a phone call, then the people who didn't have phone probably were not part of the polling. You also go to the extent of asking the demographics and then the place where the polling was carried out. I know they said it's a random sampling. But then, because of the result, I am tempted to believe that this polling was carried out online. Because Peter Obi online has a measure of people who are very active for him, much more than the other candidate. And I will tell you why. Because there was an algorithm search, and algorithm and data analytics that was carried out that came up with a finding that 57.5% of people who follow Peter Obi and engage for him on social media do not live in Nigeria. In fact, majority of whom are bots on Twitter. They are not real human beings. If you take away 57.5% of the people who are active for him who probably live abroad and they don't have voters card, they are likely not to come to vote, then what it means is that Peter Obi is basking in the euphoria of hallucination. For you to become a president, you must have the highest vote and 25% in 24 states. Peter Obi, if he's able to win 3 states in Nigeria, I will throw the biggest party for him.
That was so direct. He believes the poll was carried out online and that majority of Peter Obi's followers are in the diaspora. He even dared to say that if Peter Obi wins 3 states in the 2023 elections, that is, winning 25% of the total votes cast in just 3 states, then he, Boala, would throw the biggest party for him. We'll see how this goes. Then, the spokesperson of the APC, Bayo Onanuga, had this to say.
I believe some people just sat down somewhere and concocted a so-called poll. If you look at it, the way you have to dismiss it is this. Look at under Southwest. The NOI poll gave our candidates 18% in the Southwest. That is our candidate's own base. How can anybody sit anywhere? You don't even need to do any opinion poll to know that that is the stronghold of our candidate. And then they went to the Northeast and gave our candidate again 18%. Whereas the same people gave Peter Obi for a 64% in the Southeast. You can see that there's no logic in this thing. Historically, the Southwest people will back their own. Everybody knows that. Because if NOI poll can say the Southeast people are going to back Peter Obi, why is it not good for the Southwest?
His logic is that if the Southeast can go all out for their own as shown in the poll result, why will the Southwest not go for their own too? Obi scored 68% in the Southeast, while Tinubu scored 18% in the Southwest. So he believes the poll is biased and misleading. Well, they've all spoken. The power to win elections is with the electorate. They will decide when the time comes. But one thing for sure is that whoever will win 2023 presidential election will not be a regional candidate. He will be one accepted by all. Now let's hear the winner of the poll, Mr. Peter Obi, speak to CNN on how he will govern Nigeria if he eventually becomes Mr. President come 2023.
Mr. Obi, thank you so much for being with us. You are certainly the most popular presidential candidate in Nigeria right now among young people. There is just so much momentum behind you. But here's the problem. Nigerians are used to being disappointed by their leaders. And when you think about some of the problems that are facing the country right now, they're systemic. I'm talking about corruption. I'm talking about oil theft. I'm talking about insecurity. I'm talking about the fiscal hole that Nigeria is in right now. Can all of that really be solved by one person?
Well, if you have a leader that is competent, have the capacity and commitment to start dealing with it, you're not going to solve it overnight. But there will be a clear, visible, measurable attempt to dealing with it. And they're things that are solvable. They're things that can be dealt with decisively. But you have to have a leader that, if you look at what he's been able to do in the past, you can say yes.
If indeed you do become Nigeria's next president. Nigeria, as you know, is broke. It is barely able to service its debt. It spends so much more than it earns. What are your plans? Just from a concrete perspective, what are your plans to take Nigeria's economy off of life support?
Well, a variety of things. One is that you have to deal decisively with the issue of security. It's impacting negatively on your economy today. You have to deal with it head on, because you have to get your farmers to go back to farm and start ensuring that the vast land of the north are invested, are cultivated on. You have to start pulling people out of poverty as quickly as possible. You have to reduce aggressively cost of governance and deal with the issue of corruption.
Anyone who knows anything about Nigeria knows that it has this embarrassing reputation of, despite the fact that it is Africa's largest oil producer, it imports refined fuel.
Obi has made the most efforts so far, reaching out to people and granting interviews to explain how best he will preside over Nigeria as president. He has been vocal about his ambition from day one. Going by this observation, I think the poll result by Nnpp is not outrightly wrong. Come 2023, Nigeria will have a new commander-in-chief. Please be part of this selection process. Make sure you vote. I'll see you again.